The hum of the coastal town seeped through the cracked window of Amara Ellis's third-floor apartment, a faint symphony of crashing waves and distant gulls. At 32, Amara had carved out a life here, one blueprint at a time. Her dining table, a thrift store find with a wobbly leg she'd never fixed, was buried under a sprawl of architectural drawings, her community park project, years in the making. Tomorrow was the ribbon-cutting ceremony, the kind of milestone that should have felt like a triumph. Instead, her phone buzzed relentlessly, notifications piling up, congratulatory texts, emails from the mayor's office, a reminder from her mentor, Clara, to breathe and own the moment. Amara's lips twitched into a half-smile. She wanted to feel proud, but pride was a fragile thing, easily overshadowed. A sharp knock at the door jolted her from her thoughts. She glanced at the clock, 9:47 p.m. Who's delivering this late? She muttered, brushing graphite dust from her hands. She crossed the room, her bare feet cool against the hardwood, and opened the door to a courier in a neon vest, his face half hidden under a cap. He thrust a sleek black envelope toward her. No return address, just her name in crisp silver font, Amara Ellis. She signed for it, her curiosity piqued but uneasy, and closed the door as the courier vanished into the night. Back at the table, she turned the envelope over, its weight heavier than it should have been. The paper was thick, expensive, embossed with the Ellis family crest, a stylized egret her father had always called a mark of legacy. Amara's stomach tightened. She slit the envelope open with a butter knife, revealing a single card inside. The words were printed in stark black ink. The Ellis Family Trust has been finalized. All assets are designated to Theodore Ellis and his heirs. No greeting, no signature, no hint of warmth. Just a statement, cold and final. My brother, Theo, Amara whispered, her voice barely audible over the hum of the refrigerator. Always the golden child. She sank into her chair, the card trembling in her hands. She hadn't expected an inheritance. Her parents' wealth, tied up in real estate and old money, had always felt distant, like a painting she could admire but never touch. But this wasn't about money. It was a door slamming shut, a confirmation of what she'd long suspected. She was not part of their story. Her mind drifted to a memory sharp as sea glass. She was 10, kneeling in the driveway of their sprawling family home, tightening the chain on Theo's bicycle while he wobbled in circles, grinning. Their parents stood on the sidelines of his soccer game, cheering his every clumsy kick, their eyes never straying to her. She'd fixed the bike, wiped the grease from her hands, and waited for a glance that never came. Invisible even then. The card lay on the table now, next to her blueprints, its edges catching the lamplight. Her phone buzzed again, Clara's text glowing. Big day tomorrow. You've earned this. Amara nodded almost mechanically and set the card aside. They can keep their money, she said to the empty room. I've built my own life. But her gaze drifted to a faded photo on the bookshelf, her late Aunt Nia, paint-splattered and laughing, her arm around a teenage Amara. Nia, who'd taught her to sketch horizons and dream beyond the family's shadow, had been the only one to see her potential, the only one who stayed. Amara stood, crossing to the photo, her fingers brushing the frame. Nia had died 3 years ago, her art studio now a shuttered relic down the coast. The memory of her voice, "You're enough, Amara, just as you are," felt like a lifeline. Tomorrow the town would celebrate her park, her vision. But tonight the black card sat like a stone, heavy with the weight of absence. She turned back to her blueprints, her resolve hardening. They could write her out of their legacy, but they couldn't erase what she built. The sun hung low over the coastal town, casting golden streaks across the newly opened Seawind Park. Amara Ellis stood at the edge of the ribbon-cutting ceremony, her heart swelling as children darted across the green, their laughter mingling with the crash of nearby waves. Her park was alive. Winding paths she'd sketched at midnight, benches carved with local artists' designs, a small amphitheater where teens were already planning an open mic night. The mayor, a wiry man with a penchant for grand gestures, gripped her hand and raised it like a prizefighter's. Amara Ellis, the visionary who brought this town together, he boomed. And the crowd of locals, shopkeepers, teachers, retirees erupted in applause. For a moment, Amara let herself bask in it, her smile wide and unguarded. This was her triumph, built from years of late nights and crumpled drafts. But joy, she'd learned, was a fleeting guest. Back in her cramped office above the town's only bookstore, Amara slumped into her chair, the glow of the ceremony fading under the hum of fluorescent lights. Her phone, still buzzing with congratulatory messages, tempted her to scroll through social media. A mistake. Her thumb froze over a post from Theo's PR firm, Ellis Creative Solutions, its logo as sleek and cold as the black envelope from the night before. The post was a dagger. Seawind Park, a vision stolen? Evidence suggests Amara Ellis claimed credit for her brother Theodore's original designs. Attached were screenshots of emails dated 5 years ago, showing sketches eerily similar to her park's layout, signed with Theo's name. The post had 3,000 shares and counting, each comment a pinprick. Shameful. Typical opportunist. Who does she think she is? Amara's breath caught. Theo's always been good at stories, she murmured, her voice barely audible over the hum of her ancient desk fan. Growing up, he'd spin tales to get out of trouble, and I'd clean up the mess. Now he's rewriting my work. Her mind spiraled to a memory sharp and stinging. She was 16, hunched over a kitchen table, sketching intricate park layouts for Theo's high school art portfolio. He'd begged for help, claiming he was blocked. She'd poured hours into those drawings, her pencil capturing curves of pathways and clusters of trees. At the school exhibition, their parents had beamed as Theo accepted praise, never mentioning her. Amara had stood in the back, clutching her sketchbook, invisible again. She shoved her phone away and paced, the floorboards creaking under her boots. Clara, her mentor, burst through the door, her silver braid swinging. "Amara, you've seen it?" she asked, her voice sharp with urgency. Amara nodded, her jaw tight. Clara, a retired architect who'd taken Amara under her wing, slammed a folder onto the desk. "Theo's firm is pitching a rival project, a flashy eco-resort, using your park's success to woo investors. They're saying you stole his vision to undermine him." Clara's eyes blazed. "You can't let him erase you, Amara. This park is yours." Amara hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of a blueprint. Fighting back meant wading into the mud, risking her reputation in a public brawl. But silence meant letting Theo rewrite her legacy. "I need to face him," she said finally, her voice steady but low. Claire nodded, handing her an invitation to a family gathering at the Ellis estate, slipped to her by a sympathetic cousin. "Go, but don't let them dim you." That night, Amara drove to the Ellis family home, a sprawling colonial perched on a cliff overlooking the ocean. She hadn't been back in years, and the sight of the egret embossed gates made her stomach churn. Uninvited, she slipped through the front door, her sneakers silent on the polished marble. The dining room was a tableau of excess. Crystal chandeliers, a catered spread, her parents holding court as Theo, now a polished entrepreneur in a tailored blazer, charmed a cluster of guests. His smirk faltered when he saw her, but their mother, Ellen, swept forward, her smile brittle. "Amara, darling," Ellen said, her voice a practiced lilt. "What a surprise." Amara didn't waste time. "Theo, your post those emails are fake. I designed Seawind. You know it." The room hushed, forks pausing midair. Theo's laugh was sharp, cutting. "Always so dramatic, Mara. I'm just protecting the family name." Their mother stepped between them, her hand on Amara's arm. "Theo's building something big. You've always been so independent. Let's not make a scene." Amara's chest tightened, the old wound splitting open. Independent. A polite way of saying unwanted. She met Theo's eyes, seeing not remorse but calculation. He was banking on her silence, her habit of stepping aside. Not this time. She turned, ignoring her mother's protests, and strode out into the salt-heavy night. In her car, her hands gripped the wheel, her resolve crystallizing. "This is my legacy," she whispered. "And I'm done letting you steal it." Back at her apartment, she pulled out her old sketchbooks, their pages filled with the park's earliest drafts. Each line was hers, drawn in quiet moments when the world felt too heavy. She wouldn't let Theo rewrite her truth. Not again. Tomorrow, she'd start fighting back, not for revenge, but for the park, the town, and the girl who'd once believed she could build something that mattered. The town hall smelled of old wood and salt air, its high windows letting in slants of late-morning light that danced across the crowded room. Amara Ellis stood at a makeshift podium, her hands steady on a stack of time-stamped blueprints, each one a testament to the years she'd poured into Seawind Park. The room buzzed with locals, fishermen in worn caps, parents with kids tugging at their sleeves, reporters scribbling in notepads. Amara had organized this public forum not for glory but for truth, a chance to reclaim her work from Theo's lies. Her navy blazer felt too stiff, but her voice was clear, carrying over the murmurs. "This park isn't just land," she said, her eyes sweeping the crowd. "It's a promise to this town. I built it, not because I needed credit, but because I believed in us." She clicked through a slideshow projected on a sagging screen. Early sketches of winding paths, photos of community workshops where kids suggested treehouses, emails with the mayor's office dated years before Theo's doctor claims. The crowd leaned in, nodding, some whispering to neighbors. Amara's chest loosened slightly, her town was listening. But then the double doors at the back slammed open and Theo strode in, his polished loafers clicking on the floor. His tailored suit and practiced smile couldn't mask the glint of desperation in his eyes. "Amara," he called, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. "This little show is cute. But let's be honest, you're just jealous of my vision." The air thickened, the crowd shifting uneasily. Amara's pulse spiked, but she held her ground. "Your vision," she said. Her tone sharp but controlled. "Those emails you posted are fakes, Theo. I have the originals." She held up a binder, pages flagged with dates that predated his claims. Theo laughed too loud. Turning to the crowd. "She's always been like this, taking what's mine, twisting it. I designed the park's core concept years ago. She's just riding my coattails." Murmurs rippled through the room. Doubt creeping in. Amara's hands trembled, but before she could respond, a voice cut through from the side. "That's enough." Javier, a local artist with paint-stained jeans and a quiet intensity, stepped forward holding a stack of Polaroids. "I've known Amara since we were kids," he said, his voice steady. "I watched her sketch Seawind Park at the pier, years before Theo's so-called designs. These photos," he held them up, showing a teenage Amara hunched over a sketchpad, "the park's curves unmistakable. Prove it. You don't get to rewrite her soul, Theo." The crowd erupted. Some clapping, others shouting questions. A reporter from the Coastal Chronicle snapped photos of the Polaroids, her phone already recording. Theo's face flushed, his smirk faltering. "Those could be anyone's," he stammered, but the room was turning against him. Amara clicked to her final slide. A forensic analysis of Theo's emails, commissioned by Clara, showing metadata inconsistencies and fonts that didn't exist 5 years ago. The evidence was undeniable. Theo backed toward the door, muttering about misunderstandings, and slipped out as reporters swarmed after him. By evening, the story broke online. Headlines screamed, "Local entrepreneur caught in plagiarism scandal." Theo's firm, Ellis Creative Solutions, hemorrhaged credibility. Investors pulled funding for his eco-resort, citing ethical concerns. Amara's phone buzzed with messages of support, but as she sat alone in her apartment, the victory felt hollow. "I won the fight," she whispered to the empty room, "but I lost the family I thought I had." Her parents hadn't called, hadn't texted. The silence was louder than any courtroom gavel. She reached for an old sketchbook, its leather cover worn from years of handling. As she flipped through pages of park drafts, a folded letter slipped out, written in Aunt Nia's looping script. Amara's breath caught. She hadn't seen this before. The letter read, "Amara, my heart, your family's roots are tangled. But yours don't have to be. Find your own, build something true, not theirs." A small key was taped to the bottom, labeled Coastal Archive. Nia's words hit like a wave, stirring memories of summers spent painting with her aunt, the only one who'd seen her as more than a shadow. Amara clutched the letter, her eyes tracing the key's edges. Theo's lies had been exposed, her park reclaimed, but the cost was a family that never truly wanted her. Yet Nia's words offered a new path. Not revenge but rediscovery. She tucked the letter into her pocket, her mind already turning to the archive. Whatever Nia had left her, it was a chance to build something no one could erase. The coastal cliffs loomed rugged and wild, their edges softened by tufts of seagrass swaying in the late afternoon breeze. Amara Ellis stood at the base of a winding path, the small key from Nia's letter glinting in her hand. The Coastal Archive, a weathered stone building tucked into a nearby town's hillside, was barely noticeable unless you knew where to look. Amara's boots crunched on gravel as she approached, her heart thudding with a mix of anticipation and unease. Nia's words, "Find your roots, not theirs," had echoed in her mind since the town hall triumph, a beacon through the fog of her family's betrayal. Inside, the archive smelled of damp paper and cedar, its shelves lined with dusty ledgers and forgotten histories. A librarian, her glasses perched on a beaded chain, led Amara to a locked box labeled Amara Ellis. With a turn of the key, Amara opened it to find a stack of leather-bound journals, their pages yellowed but alive with Nia's bold, looping script. She spent hours reading, curled in a corner under a flickering lamp. The journals revealed Nia's own estrangement from the Ellis family, her choice to pursue painting over their obsession with wealth and status. They called my art a hobby, a waste, Nia wrote. But it was my truth. Tucked between pages was a deed to a small plot of coastal land, unclaimed until now, with a note in Nia's hand, for Amara to build what lasts. Amara's throat tightened. Nia saw me when no one else did, she whispered, her voice soft in the quiet room. She didn't leave me money, she left me a chance to start over. Days later, a cream-colored invitation arrived at Amara's apartment, its egret crest a bitter reminder of the family trust. Her parents requested her presence at a gala to smooth things over. Against her better judgment, Amara went, driven by a flicker of hope for reconciliation. The Ellis estate glittered under chandeliers, guests in sequin dresses sipping champagne. Theo, ever the showman, held court, spinning a new tale. Seawind Park? I inspired Amara's vision, gave her the spark. Her parents nodded, their smiles practiced. Amara's stomach churned. This wasn't reconciliation, it was another rewrite, another theft. You didn't inspire me, she said, her voice cutting through the chatter. You tried to erase me. She walked out, the click of her heels echoing in the stunned silence. Her hope extinguished but her clarity sharp. Back in town, Amara turned her focus to Nia's land, a windswept acre overlooking the ocean. Perfect for something new. She envisioned a coastal art garden, a space where local youth could create murals, sculptures, and memories. She met with Javier, the artist who'd defended her at the town hall, and Clara, her mentor, in a cozy diner overlooking the pier. This isn't just a garden, Amara said, sketching plans on a napkin. It's a place for kids to be seen, to matter. Javier grinned, offering to lead workshops, while Clara promised to rally community donors. They weren't blood, but they were family, chosen, steady. Real. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues Nia would have loved, Amara stood on the plot, her plans taking root. The Ellis name might never claim her, but this land, this town, this dream, they were hers. She wasn't rebuilding a family, she was building a legacy, one that no one could rewrite. A year later, the coastal art garden bloomed under a sky streaked with coral and gold, its acre of windswept land transformed into a vibrant tapestry of color and life. Sculptures crafted by local teens, twisted driftwood painted in bold blues, stone mosaics glinting in the sun, dotted the landscape, while murals of leaping whales and starry skies adorned low walls. Amara Ellis stood at the garden's heart, her boots sinking into the soft earth, watching a group of kids add finishing touches to a canvas stretched across an easel. The opening ceremony buzzed around her. Laughter from families, the clink of lemonade glasses, the distant crash of waves against the cliffs. The town had claimed her as their own, their cheers at the ribbon cutting still echoing in her ears. Amara's heart was full, not with the need for her family's approval, but with the certainty of belonging. I used to think family was blood, she thought, her gaze drifting to the horizon. Now I know it's the people who show up, who see you, who stay. She walked to the garden's visitor center, a small cedarwood structure designed by Javier. Inside, she hung a single empty frame on the wall, its simplicity stark against the vibrant art around it. A young artist, a girl with paint-splattered braids, tilted her head. What's that for, Amara? She asked. Amara smiled, her voice soft but sure. It's not about what's missing. It's about what you choose to build. The girl nodded, as if the answer held a secret she'd carry forward. A memory flickered. Amara, barely 8, sketching beside Aunt Nia on a sun-warmed rock, their pencils scratching in rhythm as Nia laughed, her paint-stained hands guiding Amara's. Draw what you feel, not what they expect, Nia had said. Back in the present, Amara's smile deepened, anchored by that memory. Nia's gift, the land, the journals, the key had given her this moment, this place. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a text from Theo. I'm sorry, Mara. Can we talk? The words were vague, weightless, a shadow of accountability. She deleted it without a second thought, her fingers steady, and turned back to the garden. Kids ran past, their voices bright, while Clara waved from a bench, her silver braid catching the light. The camera of Amara's mind panned across the vibrant space. Sculptures gleaming, murals alive, waves singing their endless song. She wasn't erased anymore. She was here, rooted in a legacy she built, not inherited. And that was enough.